Number 3, you want to have a $250,000 nest egg when you retire in 15 years. How much money do you need to invest each month at 3.5% APR compounded monthly in order to reach your goal? Assume your final deposit does not generate interest. What I'm seeing here is that we have the amount of money we want to have at the end of our investment period, and it'll be 15 years from now. How much money do we have to invest each month at this rate, compounded monthly, to reach our goal? So I think my big F is going to be the 250,000, and it says my final deposit does not generate interest, so my L is just going to be my P, which is the part I don't know this time. And my time is 15 years. My rate is 3.5%, so 0.035. And my N is 12 for monthly. And then I just need to calculate my capital T and my little p. My capital T, remember, is NT. So my N is 12 and my T is 15. So I'll multiply those. And I get 180. And then my little p is going to be the rate over the number of compounding, so 0.035 over 12. So 0.035 divided by 12. And I get a nice long decimal, 0.002916, repeating. And I want to store that one. And I think I have to store it for this calculator. It'll get stored in X. And to do the store on this calculator, it has an STO button again, so you push the store, and then right above it are your variables. So you just push the first variable to get X. If you want a different one, you push that button again. It changes Y, Z, T, A, B, C. So you just wait until you get the one you want. I decided to put that one in X, so I'll just push enter. And then it's putting it into the X bin. Okay, so let's fill out the formula. The formula is F equals L, which in this case is just going to be P, little 1 plus little p raised to the capital T minus 1 all over little p. And then I want to do big P. Oh wait, I have the big F this time, so I'll have to put that on. We're going to have to work this one just slightly differently, so it'll be good practice for us. 250,000 equals big P times the quantity 1 plus, and it's what I stored in my X bin for the little p, raised to the big T, which was 180 minus 1 over little p, which is what I stored in my X bin again. Okay, so what I want to do on this one is inside these big parentheses, I'm going to calculate just as I did before. And then I will take that 250 divided by this whole big thing right here to get the p all by itself. So I'll show you that here. So I have my value that's stored in X, so I just want to add 1 to it. So plus 1 equals, and so now I have 1.0029, and it goes on. I want to raise that to the 180th, so I'm on this step right here. So to the, and on this calculator it looks just like that, to the 180th equals, or enter, and now I have this little piece right here, and I just need to subtract 1, minus 1 equals, and I get the 0.68 and so on, and then I need to divide by the X. So divide by, now I have to do recall, which is right above that store button, so I have to do second store and recall, and on this calculator it's showing me the values that I have for each of the variables, so, and letting me pick that way, but I'll just pick the first one because that was my X, that's where I stored it. It typed it on the screen for me, and now I can push enter, and it'll calculate for me. So now I got this 236. So here's what I have at this point. So I'll just write it down one time. 250,000 equals P times 236.286, and it goes on. Now what I want to do is just divide or multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So I can either divide by 236.286 and so on, or I can multiply both sides by 1 over the 236 point ... And so I'm going to show you both ways, I guess. So the first thing is, if I want to divide both sides by that number, then I need to store it. So I'm going to have to store it, and I want to store it in not X because I'm using that. So I'm going to store it in Y and push enter. So now I know this value here is stored in Y. And so what I can do is the 250,000 divided by what I have in Y, and that will give me my big P. So that's where I am right now. So I'm actually Y times the P, so I'll divide both sides by Y. And these, of course, reduce, and so I have, let me erase this so I don't get too confused. This is my other method here. So I divide both sides by this Y, what I stored in Y, and then that means I have to do the 250,000 divided by the Y, which is what I have written down here. So I have that stored, so then I can just type in 250, 1, 2, 3, divided by, and I have to recall, and I can go down to the Y, push enter, enter one more time, and that's telling me that my P is 1058.04, because the next digit is a 9, if you can read it through my ink blots. Now that's one method. My other method is going to look like this. So when I am at this point, 250,000 equals P times the 236.286, etc. Then I can think about multiplying both sides by 1 over the 236, etc. Okay, and to do that, I need to get that 236 back on my calculator, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit because normally it would have just been sitting right there, but I'm just going to recall that one more time because I know I stored it. So there's that value I had, and it's sitting on my calculator. I want to do 1 over X for it, or X to the -1 button, whichever you've got. So I'll click that, and it says to the -1, and then remember, when you're doing the inverse method, you're multiplying both sides, so this cancels with this, but on the left hand side I'm doing 250,000 times 1 over, which is what this value right here represents, the 6.28, etc., to the -1. That represents this piece. Let me do it with this piece right here. So my operation is multiply, so I can leave it sitting there with that -1 on it and just say times 250, 1, 2, 3, and equals, and I get that same answer. Do you see it? 1058.04. So either way I work it, it depends which way you want to, if you want to use your store button or if you want to try out that 1 over X button. Either of those is going to work, and what we know then is that you will need to save 1058.04 per month to have that 250,000. That's $250,000. At retirement. So there you are. if you don't have very much time, you don't have much time for that money to compound and build up and build up. So it takes a bigger deposit every month to get there.